Wow, this is so much fun. I feel like I bought the wrong car. Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and today we're driving the 2018 C43 AMG. Special thanks to Tim at DCH Acura in Verona, New Jersey. All right, so this is like an AMG Light, just like my M340i xDrive is an M Sport. This is like the AMG Sport version of the C63. So instead of getting that 8-cylinder engine, you get a 6-cylinder twin turbo and all-wheel drive. Now, you can't get an all-wheel drive on the C63. Gorgeous car here. We're going to take it for a spin, and we're going to compare it directly to my M340i xDrive and see if I made the right choice on my daily driver. Well, one thing I'll notice here is it's got a gorgeous interior. Fantastic, better sound system than I have with the Burmeister. So let's pull the door closed here. It's a hot day, so we'll start up the car. So you have the engine start button. This is actually a plastic button that just pops in and out. So if it didn't have this button, the keyless entry, you would just put your key in and turn it. It has the same key as my GLA 45 AMG, which you can find right here, your typical Mercedes key. So if you didn't have the push button start, this piece wouldn't be there, it'd just be a hole. You'd put it in and turn it. Red seat belts. I believe black is standard. I think red is a no-cost option. Now again, this is all-wheel drive, so we should be able to put the power down, which I wasn't able to do in my C63 video. We're gonna, we'll drive in manual shift mode, we'll drive with the sport exhaust on, and then we can go to individual mode. So we'll drive in sport, and then we'll turn it to sport plus. Everything comes up here, so you can also do the functions manually. This is the previous MMI system. They have, I think, a new one for 2020. Parking brake is down here. The interior is better so far. I love this flat bottom. So I would say over my BMW, nicer interior, better sound system. I would even say better steering wheel with the flat bottom steering wheel. Oh my God, will I pick a Mercedes over a BMW? Let's find out. What I don't like about it as much is obviously the gear selector here, though the BMW's kind of got a more confusing one. I never really got used to the stalk here. It's like the old days, like your parents' car. But if you did it that way, like the old transmissions, you would break it. So we're going to go in a second here. This is a 9-speed automatic. Let's see how it handles in the turns. We got our signals right here. Much better gas mileage, of course, because let's see if it'll shift us down to first. And a complete stop, it does. Much better gas mileage because we have a 6-cylinder instead of a V8. Now this car gets up and goes. Shifts very well. Handles very well. I can feel the all-wheel drive. This is a fun car. I mean, my initial impressions, this is a lot of fun. All right, so let's see how it does on these roads. So right now we're in Sport Plus. I'm doing manual shift, and this car is a very, very visceral car. Let me tell you, I am very impressed. The interior is gorgeous on this car. You know, the entertainment system is probably a little dated. This is a 2018. I think they revised it, did some changes to it in 2020. We're gonna have to stop at a light. Brakes work really well. So we can go through all the menus here. So here's our all our options. We can put it, say we press this here, we go in Sport, Sport Plus. We were driving in Sport Plus before, louder exhaust. We can put on the exhaust button right here. These are our controls to do the vehicle settings. We can also do them manually. We have the shocks. So I'm going to take the shocks off because these roads are bumpy enough, and then we can actually shift manually. So we're actually in comfort mode as far as the suspension goes, but we are in Sport Plus when we're driving. So that gives us a louder exhaust, that gives us the pops and bangs, and it's a very visceral driving experience. Wow, listen to those cracks and bangs. So I don't get that, though I do have exhausts and some decent sound from the M340i xDrive. That's my daily driver. This is way more visceral. Now, if this is way more visceral, and I might even prefer this car, why didn't I buy that to begin with? Wouldn't I have checked out that car before leasing the M340i xDrive? Well, BMWs, about half of them are leased, so they have really good prices for leasing. Most of the Mercedes and Audi, they only lease a small percentage of cars, where BMW leases almost half of their sales are leases. So the leases are a lot cheaper. So I actually compared to C43, and even with contacted a Mercedes dealer who was probably giving me the car for tissue, it was still $200 a month more than this car costs. So now we're going to downshift. We're behind a dump truck. We're going to take it up to some turns here and see how she does. So the sound system, the Burmeister, sounds great. Definitely got the BMW beat there. It's a really nice interior, the C-Class interior. Really gorgeous seats, really gorgeous interior. This sounds like a baby AMG. It's not as, you know, you don't have that V8 rumble from the C63, and we did a C63 on track, and I couldn't believe, and again, it was a cold day up in Monticello Motor Club up in upstate New York, and it oversteered. I couldn't believe a car oversteered that much stock. And of course, that was rear drive. And this car is really, wow, this is so much fun. I feel like I bought the wrong car. Wow. I'd be doing this all day. Now, we've driven an E63S here, and special thanks to Tim at DCH Montclair Acura in Verona, New Jersey, for allowing me to drive this car. Wow. He gives me free reign to any of his inventory, and I figured this is definitely a Glenn car. If you're thinking of an M340iX drive, or you really want the new M3, but you don't, you know, because of the new grills, maybe you're going to pass on it, or you're thinking about an AMG, check out this car, because it might be the best of both worlds. It's significantly cheaper, especially on the used market like this one. You can get a lot of low mileage cars coming off lease, and it's really a thrill to drive. I am in love with this car. I'd be very happy having this as my daily driver. Is it a real AMG? No, but neither is my M340iX drive a real M car. And the transmission is very good in manual mode. I always look for that, you know, because 90% of the times I drive in manual mode, unless I'm long distance on the highway, that's the signal you hear there, or I am, you know, stuck in bumper to bumper traffic. So let's actually take it out of manual mode and see how it does driving in automatic mode. Now remember, we're in Sport Plus, so that's probably a little disadvantage. So it's going to give us a little bit of those jerky shifts on purpose, just to try to add to that visceral experience. Sight lines are real good. You know, you can't see like typical car where the end of your hood is, but I can place it. The steering is accurate and direct. Good views out the mirror, good views over my shoulder if I was switching lanes on the highway. Yes, you shouldn't count on blind spot monitors. You should actually look over your shoulder. Unlike the Aventador that I drove where I couldn't see anything, this car I could see everything. All right, let's see how she handles these turns. Very well, almost no body roll. You could definitely have fun with this car in the back roads. I like any car that you could shift manually. So on these back roads, we'll do it manually. As we get to the congestion going back to the dealership, I'll put it in auto mode and we'll see how it shifts there. So let's go in a second. There you go. You get a little barking with the exhaust, and I didn't have the exhaust on, so let's actually put the exhaust on. All right, so now we'll go from third to second. We should hear some, there we go. We hear a lot more sound. Now with the turbos, this thing flies. And actually has so much more grip in all-wheel drive. So as far as, I know the C63 will be faster because of V8, more horsepower, but in the real world conditions, especially living here in the Northeast, I think this car actually is going to get more power to the ground, and in a real world race could maybe even get a better time around town in conditions, rain, snow, sleet, than the C63 can, because that car definitely struggles to get the power down. And we got plenty of gas in this car. This system is easy to use. I mean, you can definitely go into all your stuff here, so there's no problem. Oh, this car even has a 360 camera. So we'll shift in a second now. We'll try out some of the power. Yeah. Yeah, so you can definitely get the power down for sure. Sounds really good. The sound is better than my BMW too. Now I think when these cars are new that this is a little more expensive. But on the used market they're very similar. These may even be cheaper than Mercedes on the used market. So we're going to downshift here to third. We hear those pops. Downshift to second and let us do that. And now we can give it a little gas. Downshift again. Wow, this is fun. I'm really impressed with this car. I thought this was going to be like, you know, it got AMG looks only, and it just drives like a regular C-Class, because the base C-Class is not a fun car to drive. It's definitely a nice car. It probably has a better interior than a BMW, and it's definitely like a classy looking car, but I would never really want to drive it. I had one as a loaner car, and you know, no thanks. Oh, here's a nice Bentley. Well, I drove one of those convertible a couple weeks ago, if you saw my video. Now the paddles stay with the wheel, so when you turn like that, you gotta remember where your hands are to shift, because you'll run out of first gear pretty quickly. Unfortunately, we're behind a Prius. All right, so now let's take it out of manual mode. So we're gonna press the button down here. We're gonna get off the shock mode. Whoops. So we have 3 settings for the shocks. We're gonna drive in comfort mode now. We'll still have our exhaust sounds, and I'm gonna let the computer shift so we can see how she does. Now the ride is pretty good. I would say the ride is the same as my M340i xDrive. Looks, I'd probably go with the BMW, to be honest. But you know, driving fun, I think this car is more fun. I hate to say it, because I've had 8 BMWs and 2 AMGs, but I think this car is more fun than mine. If they were the same price, I think I would buy this. Brakes seem very responsive here. They're not like you touch it a little bit and it jerks you forward, or spongy. So for a street car, the brakes are very nice. Good ride. You can see everything. You can, you know, make it 2 cars in one. You can have the comfort mode, and then you can have like bonsai backroads car. It's definitely not a track car, but it can be a fun car indeed. We have 800 different videos now, 800 different cars. But this sport exhaust is worth it, man. You got to have one with the sport exhaust for sure. All right, guys, we're headed back to the dealership. Thanks for coming along with me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the C43. It's available now at DCH Acura. Just ask for Tim, tell him you saw Glenn's video, and I'm sure he'll give you a great deal on this car. I believe it's still under warranty. All right, guys, thanks again. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.